Good morning and welcome to Mobile Device Manager Plus training. Let me start off by introducing myself. My name is Induja. I'm a product specialist with ManageEngine and I'll be your trainer for the day. This training program is scheduled for 3 weeks and we are on week 2 now. And today we will be talking about app management and device security. Our agenda for the day is as follows. Firstly, we will have an overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. In this section, we will have a general introduction about the product and we will also discuss the product's architecture and the required ports. This section would be helpful for those who are not familiar with the product. We will then move on to App Lifecycle Management, in which we will be discussing the procedures for deploying, removing, and updating applications on the devices, along with management of enterprise or in-house applications. The next section is securing data and devices. In this section, we will be discussing different procedures such as blacklisting or allowing certain applications and websites on the devices, management of device OS updates, and making sure that the devices are not active outside a specific geographical location. In addition to these security methods available for the managed devices, we will also discuss how to secure data on the devices that are lost. Finally, we will be ending the session by discussing a list of scenarios and its corresponding solutions. MDM supports management of smartphones and tablets across iOS, Android, and Windows operating systems. In addition to that, we also support Mac OS and TV OS under Apple, Windows 10 laptops and Surface Pro devices under Windows, and Chrome OS devices as well. MDM is available as an add-on with Desktop Central, which is our unified endpoint management solution. If you're looking for managing only mobile devices, you can choose our standalone MDM product, which is available in both on-premises and cloud version. For managing the devices of multiple clients using a single instance, we also have MSP edition of MDM, which is also available in both on-premises and cloud version. When it comes to integrations, MDM can be integrated with third-party help desk applications such as Spiceworks, ServiceNow, Zendesk, Jira, and our in-house help desk application, Service Desk Plus. In addition to these help desk applications, it can also be integrated with Zoho Creator, which is our low-code application development platform, and Zoho CRM as well. If you want to integrate MDM with any other third-party applications, you can make use of our publicly available API, which can be accessed by the link mentioned below. Let us take a look at the architecture of MDM, which comprises 3 major components: MDM server, notification services provided by OEM vendors, and the devices to be managed. MDM makes use of the notification services such as APNS, FCM, and WNS to wake the corresponding device, and the device in turn reaches MDM server to receive the commands to be executed. For the devices to reach MDM server from outside the network, you need to have the private server IP of MDM available as a public domain with the help of NAT settings. But this may raise a few security concerns in the organization, and that is why we have an optional component called Secure Gateway. Secure Gateway acts as a firewall and it facilitates the communication between device and MDM server without having to expose the MDM server to a public domain. Optionally, you can also integrate your Active Directory, which will help you in easier user assignment and user authentication. Given are some of the important ports that are used by Mobile Device Manager. If you want to take a look at the whole list of ports that are being used, you can check the link that is mentioned below. So how exactly does MDM manage devices? In case of Android, MDM mobile application gets installed on the device during enrollment, and that acts as the management tool. When it comes to iOS, Windows, and Chrome OS devices, they already have an inbuilt device management capability, and MDM makes use of that native client to manage them. Let us move on to our first topic for the day, which is application management. And this is the workflow of how application management works in MDM. Before deploying any application to the devices, you need to build an app repository under MDM server, which can contain both store applications and enterprise applications, after which you can distribute them to the corresponding devices. If the app distributed is a store app, the device will contact the corresponding store and get the application to get installed. If it is an enterprise app, the device reaches MDM server back to collect the application file and get them installed on them. Now let me take you to the web console of MDM and show you how it looks on the web interface. So this is the web page of MDM console. And before moving on to application management, let me give you a brief walkthrough of all the available options here. As you see, on the home page, you will have granular details about the devices and applications that are available in MDM. Device management is the tab which we will be discussing in detail in today's session. It contains the option for application management and device OS updates, etc. Inventory tab lets you configure geo-tracking with which you can locate the devices remotely, and this also helps you in finding out specific details about individual devices, such as the list of applications installed on them and certificates that are distributed to them. Enrollment is a tab where you will be onboarding the devices into MDM. This topic is discussed in detail during previous session. If you have missed the previous training session, please refer the completed training video that is sent to you via email, or you can also request for a personalized demo session. Moving on, we have reports and admin tab, which will have the options to configure your server settings and schedule the reports. And support tab lets you reach out to us if you require any assistance with respect to the product. Now we'll move on to our topic for the day, which is application management. So here is the app repository. As you see here, you will have the option to add both store applications and enterprise applications into MDM console. As an example, now let me add a store application. So after clicking Apple Store app, you will get the option to feed in the app name. From the list of suggestions, you need to choose the appropriate app, and you will find the application details entered automatically. When you click on Next, you will have the option to choose the app policies. The first policy here lets you remove the application from the device as soon as the device is unmanaged. And the second option lets you prevent the users from backing the app data on their iTunes and iCloud accounts. If you want to make sure that this application is used only for business purposes, then you can check both these options and you can click on Next to move on to the configurations page. Configurations are the policies or payloads that you apply to the application to behave in a specific way. If you have the configuration file with you, you can upload the XML file here, or you can skip it and save the app. After the app is saved, it will get listed under app repository. You can search the app name here, and after making sure that the application is available, you will have the option to distribute it to the required devices. To distribute it to a device, you need to navigate to Groups and Devices, and under Devices, you can segregate the devices based on platform. Since it's an iOS app, I am segregating the Apple devices that are available. After which, I will select the action, Distribute Apps, and from the list of available applications, I will choose the required application here. And I will choose Manual Installation option. We will be discussing the silent installation option in another few minutes. What happens in a manual installation is the application will get distributed to the device, but it will get installed only when the end user click on install manually and logging in to his iTunes credentials. You can also notify the users to make sure that the application is installed as soon as it is distributed. So after the application is distributed, you will be able to find the application available for installation on the device. Let me show you the path again. Under Devices, you can segregate the device, and under Actions, I'm distributing the same application again. Here, choosing Manual Installation. You can distribute the app. Okay, there seems to be an issue here. Now let me take you to the device and show what happens on the device. The application would get distributed and ready to get installed, and after clicking on install, the user needs to log in using his iTunes credential, and the application would start getting installed, and after it is installed, the remarks will be posted. So as you have seen now, on every device, there should be an iTunes login for the manual installation to get completed, and user intervention is of course required. But what if you want to distribute applications to multiple devices at once, and you do not want the end users to use their login credentials? In that case, you can opt for silent app installation. MDM lets you automate the app installation with the help of Apple Business Manager in case of iOS devices and Managed Google Play in case of Android devices. So what are the prerequisites for automating app installation? First thing is you should have an account created with ABM or Google. And in case of iOS devices, the devices must be supervised, and in case of Android, the devices should be running on Android version 5.0 or above. The difference between supervised and non-supervised devices is based on the enrollment methods, and this is discussed in detail on the previous session. So I would request you to refer the completed training video for you to get a clear idea about it. This is a workflow for silent app installation. The first thing you do is to integrate your portals with MDM server. This portal can be ABM or your Google portal. After the portals are integrated, you will be approving or purchasing the required applications on the portal, and since it is integrated with MDM, the apps get reflected on MDM console as well. After which, you will be distributing the apps to the required devices on MDM, and it would get installed on the devices without user intervention. Let me show you how to configure ABM or managed Google Play on the MDM console. So here, device management under app repository, you will have Apple App Management option, and you will have two options, configure apps for business or configure apps for school, with which you can integrate either Apple Business Manager or Apple School Manager depending on the type of your organization. When you click on configure apps for business, you will have the option to upload your server token. This server token needs to be obtained from the ABM portal, and you need to log into ABM for that. After logging in, you need to navigate to settings, and under apps and books, across your organization name, the token will be available for download. After downloading it, you need to upload it here, and you need to make sure that you are selecting without Apple ID option. This is for making sure that the applications are installed on the device without user intervention. So once the configuration is done, it will look like this on the MDM console. Let me show you here. After this is done, all you have to do is purchase the applications and synchronize them on MDM console. So you will be searching the required app, and after selecting the appropriate one, you need to check whether the app is device assignable. You can silently install applications on the devices only if they are device assignable. After checking this, you need to enter the location of your organization, enter the quantity, and purchase it by clicking on Get. You also have the option to transfer the licenses from one location of your organization to another with the help of transfer option here. After this license is purchased, you will be synchronizing it using the Sync Apps option here, and the application would get listed under Apps. So under Apps, you can search the app here, Zoho CRM, and you will be distributing it to the required device using the same path that we have seen earlier. But here you need to make sure that you are choosing silent app installation method instead of manual installation. After the application is distributed, this is how it looks on the device. It will start getting installed and complete the installation without user intervention. So a general recommendation from our end is to have the device connected to a Wi-Fi if you are distributing any application of larger size. Now that we have seen how to configure ABM, we will move on to configuration of managed Google Play. So on the MDM console, you will move on to the same path, that is device management, app repository, and managed Google Play. And you will have two options, register using G Suite or without G Suite. Unless you are using G Suite already in your organization, it is always recommended to go with without G Suite option, as it is very simpler. After you click on this option, you will get navigated to the managed Google Play portal, where you need to click on Get Started, and you need to enter your organization details. After entering the EMM provider as ManageEngine, you need to enter some key contacts about your organization, such as data protection officer. You can choose to enter these details here itself, or you can skip it and add it later on. After clicking on confirm, you will have the option to complete registration, clicking on which the configuration would get completed, and your console would look like something similar to this. So you will be provided with the common Google ID that you have entered there, and the managed Google Play account type will also get listed. After this configuration is done, how do you approve the required app? You can click on Add Apps here, and search the required application from MDM console itself. After choosing the required one, you will be approving it. Clicking on approve, you need to review the permissions and approve the app. After the app is approved, you need to click on save and sync. So this option will synchronize the application directly to MDM console, and you can distribute it to the device using the same path. But before that, one advantage with managed Google Play is you will have the option to review the app permission from MDM console itself. So here you will have the permissions tab where, for example, I'm allowing contacts and location details, and I'm letting the user choose the other permissions. So after clicking on save, you can distribute the app to the devices. So you can segregate the devices based on platform, like how we did for the Apple devices, and distribute the application by searching it here. So you can click on silent installation, and after this is distributed, this is how it looks on the device. The managed Google account will get added, and the application would start getting installed, and it will be available inside the work container once the application is completed. Application installation is completed. When you click on the app permission, you will see the contacts and locations are already enabled since we have configured it on the MDM console, and the other applications are let up to the user's requirement. So now that we have seen how to distribute the required apps from MDM console, we will see how to control app updates. But before that, why should we control app updates? The reasons are the updated version may be the patch for the existing serious security issues, or the latest version may contain the patch for the current issue that is affecting the productivity. So on the MDM console, if there is an update available for an app, it will be listed under app repository using the postal message here. But what are the prerequisites for app updates? So the application should have been purchased via ABM, and it should be device assignable. Only then you will get the app update details on the MDM console. So once the application update details are distributed, you can click on the count and you'll find the app details here. You can choose the app that you require to be updated, and you will find the devices to which these applications are distributed already. You can choose to update the application on all devices, or you can choose to update the application only on selected devices. So for example, here Zoho CRM is distributed to 2 devices. You can click on update all, and the application would get updated on both the devices. But optionally, you can update it only on the selected device using this option. Moving on, we'll look how to manage enterprise or in-house application. So, should we have an ABM or managed Google Play account for management of enterprise applications from MDM console? The answer here is no. There are other prerequisites which we will be discussing in a few minutes. And the answer to the second question that you are seeing here is yes, we do have the option to test an enterprise app before deploying it to the production environment. So what are the prerequisites for managing enterprise applications? In case of iOS, the devices must be supervised, and in case of Android, the devices should either be Samsung or it should be provisioned as a device owner. So for managing enterprise applications, you need to navigate to app repository, and you can click on the enterprise app application. And after clicking on upload file, you can upload the APK file, and the application details can be entered by you. You can then click on next and upload the configuration, or you can skip it and save for the application to be available under app repository. So you can segregate the enterprise app to find the available applications here. So you can distribute the application directly to the devices using the same path. But what if you have an additional version to the same application and you want to test it before deploying it to the whole environment? In that case, you can choose upload new version option here, and you can choose upload file to add the latest version. So when you click on the latest version, you get the message that an older version is available and the newer version will be added as a beta one. So you can click on update, and under app details, you will have the beta version available for distribution only to the test bed. If you choose stable app, the distribution details will be listed and you can distribute them to the devices that you require. Now, if you have tested the beta version enough and you think it is qualified enough to be distributed to the production environment, in that case, you can click on Mark as Stable option, which will replace the existing stable version of the app and get them distributed to the existing devices automatically. Now that we have seen how to make sure that business applications are available on the devices with the help of MDM, but how do you prevent the users from accessing any unapproved applications with the help of MDM? This can be done with the help of profiles. So profiles are the payloads that you are going to deploy on the devices. So you can click on create profile and choose the platform that you require. And under restrictions, you will have the option to restrict the users from installing unapproved apps. So restricting this option would prevent the user from installing any application directly from App Store or Play Store. Only those applications that you distribute from MDM console would get installed on the devices. So now you have restricted the users from installing unapproved applications, but they can still access it using the web version of the application. In that case, you can restrict it by the help of web content filter policy. Here you can click on blacklist and enter the URL that needs to be blacklisted, and this particular URL will be restricted on the device browser. You can also use wildcard URLs, meaning wildcard domains, to restrict all the URLs available under a particular domain. Or if you want to restrict the inappropriate content as a whole, you can choose this option, which would do that. In your organizations, there may be some URLs that you want the user to access and restrict the rest of URLs on the browser. In those cases, you can choose whitelist and enter the required URLs here. Only these URLs will be accessible on the browser and the rest would get restricted. Now that we have seen how to whitelist URLs on the devices, we'll now see how to whitelist applications on the devices. This is possible with the help of kiosk profile here. So we have the option to choose either single app kiosk mode or multi-app kiosk mode. So when you choose single app kiosk mode and enter an application under allowed apps, only that application will be available on the device home screen. So in this case, as an example, I'm choosing multi-app kiosk mode, and let me choose certain applications here. And if I choose these two applications and if I save, publish, and associate the profile with the devices, then let me show you what happens on the device. This is how the device would look like. In case of single app, the device will be displayed as a single app. In case of multi-app, the device will be displayed as a multi-app. In case of multi-app kiosk mode, the device will be displayed as a multi-app kiosk mode. So only that application will be available. The users will not be able to exit it also. In case of multi-app kiosk mode, the users will have the option to toggle between the allowed applications, but they will not be able to access anything else on the device. Moving on, we'll see how to troubleshoot the devices if there are any issues and the devices outside the organization and the field agents are not technically viable. In this situation, you can make use of our remote control option available under MDM. So, under device management, you have the remote control option here where you will have the devices listed ready to be controlled remotely. So you can initiate the remote session here and you will be able to see the device on the MDM console itself. So you can take control of the devices such as Samsung, Lenovo, and a few models of Huawei. In case of non-Samsung and iOS devices, you will be able to view the device from MDM console. Now this device is on kiosk mode. How do you troubleshoot it without letting the user know how to exit the kiosk mode? So for this, you can make use of the chat option, and I am removing the kiosk mode using the chat. And as you see, the device is out of kiosk mode and you can troubleshoot the device the way that you want. And once the troubleshoot is done, you can resume the kiosk mode using the chat option like this, using the same way as before. So now the device is entered into kiosk mode. So you have the option to notify the users. You have the option to notify the users about the remote control and let them allow it. Or if you want an unattended access, that is also possible with MDM. We will now see how to make sure that the devices are not available outside a specific geographical location. So this is done with the help of geofencing option here. Under this policy, you will first create a fence by entering the geo coordinates. So let me choose a location here and with the name say training, and I will be entering the place that I require. So after choosing this, I will be setting the radius and create the fence. Once the fence is created, you can create the fence policy here by clicking on create policy and choose the required fence. And if I choose notify option here, and if I choose send email to admin, as soon as the device moves out of the created fence, an email would be sent to MDM admin stating that the device has moved out. The mail would be sent along with the device name. If I choose action here and if I choose loss mode, then the device would be automatically enabled with loss mode. Loss mode is basically breaking down the device such that the end users are not able to access it further. So after this policy is created, the configuration would get applied on the device to which it is being created for. So we'll then move on to see how to schedule OS updates on the device. So what are the disadvantages of running an outdated OS version on the device? So the first thing is you might miss out on the security patches that are released on the latest version, and the older OS version may get the device slow down. As an MDM admin, why do not I allow the users to update their OS as and when they require. The major disadvantages with this approach is the loss of productivity because every OS update will involve a device restart, which will hinder the productivity of end user. And in an organization, you could have some enterprise applications that are installed on the device, and those applications may be incompatible with the latest OS version. So in such cases, you would not want the device OS to be updated to the latest version before you testing the enterprise app with your test bed. And the last but important disadvantage or the important point is imagine all the devices are updating at the same time using the same network in your organization. Your network would definitely be not able to handle that intensity. So the solution provided by MDM to this problem is scheduling and automating OS updates. So what are the advantages of this policy? This will be set up only once, meaning for the particular device, you need not reconfigure the policy every time when an update is available. And you also have the option to deploy the update immediately or with a delay. Another important point here is you can notify the user about the updates and let them skip the update if they require. This is important because the users may be in the middle of a critical task when the device is being tried to get updated. So giving them the option to skip it is very important. So let me show you on the MDM console how to configure this policy. So under device management OS updates, you can create the policy here and you have the option here whether to deploy it immediately or delay it for a certain number of days. And you can choose the deployment window here, choose the required date and day and the time. And here is the option to notify the users. So you can choose a message and let them skip the deployment also. So the days that you have given here is important because after this particular day, the update will be automatically installed on the device even without user's permission. So after this policy is created, you can choose the policy and distribute it with the required groups or devices. Moving on, we'll now see how to secure data on the device if it is lost or stolen. So this is where our loss mode comes into play. So for a device, if you want to enable loss mode, you need to open it under inventory and under actions, you will have the enable loss mode option. So when you click on it, the device will get locked down immediately and the message that you type here will be displayed on the device like this. So if you want to provide a phone number to be available on the device home screen so that any random person that picks up the phone may give you a call and return the device, then you can enter the phone number here. And then clicking on next, you can provide a ticket ID, which is for your internal organizational reference. And you can click on locate to get the location details of this particular device. So let me show you what happens on the device if you enable loss mode. So as I said, the device would get locked down and the phone number is mentioned and the user will not be able to access anything else other than calling the given number. So now we have reached the final section of today's training. So we will discuss the list of scenarios that we have taken now. The first scenario is how do you restrict the users from uninstalling an application that is distributed from MDM or a corporate application in general. So that is possible with the help of profiles. Let me take you to the profiles part here. And after choosing the platform, you need to navigate to restrictions as we have seen earlier. And under applications, you have the option to restrict them from deleting an application. So restricting this option would prevent them from deleting any application that is available on the device. The next scenario is an interesting one. So consider there is a corporate device that is provided to an end user, and the end user has added his personal Google account under device settings. Now, after he leaves the organization as an MDM admin, you would want the same device to be assigned to a different user. So you would be reactivating it. But in this situation, if it asks for the previous user's credentials, can we bypass this with the help of MDM? Yes, we do. So we have the policy EFRB here. So the situation that I mentioned is termed as factory reset protection that happens on Android devices with OS version 6.0 and above. To bypass that, we have enterprise factory reset protection. Under this policy, you will be configuring an alternate email here. You can enter an email that is used by your IT admin or a common Google account that is used in your organization, because you have the option to enter as many emails as you want. So you can configure these alternate emails and deploy this policy to the corporate device before deploying it to the end user. So as a result, when it asks for the user's credential, you can enter any of these alternate emails to bypass this situation, meaning you need not get hold of the previous user to get his account details to bypass this. And the next scenario is, how do we prevent the users from turning off the GPS settings on their Android device? So you will be able to locate the device from MDM console only if the GPS settings is turned on the device. So you will want to make sure that GPS settings is always set to on the devices. So you can configure the policy under Profiles, Restrictions, Location Settings, and set this location services to be always on. So once this profile is saved, published, and associated on the device, the users will not be able to disable GPS settings on the device because the option would get grayed out. So this will make sure that GPS settings is always on and you are able to track down the device remotely without any issues. So we have reached the end of the session today. If you found this training session helpful, please rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. And we would also like you to spread a word about our free training in the social media platforms. Our next training is scheduled on December 19, 2019 at 11:30 EDT. And the topic is modern management of Windows and Mac devices. Thank you very much and have a nice day.